butcher it anyway. We all know that. So, ladies and gentlemen, June is a psychic reader and ghost investigator, and I'll let her take over from here. June, what do you do? It's a lot easier for you to say than me.
Okay. Well, mostly I'm retired from being from readings, seeing private people, but that's what I did for 40-something years. And the ghost investigation, I just did it as a favor to a client. She wanted to go and she started doing this paranormal, got involved with it. And she asked me, I said no. And then she said, well, how about the Condor Club down on Broadway Street in San Francisco? Now, I don't know about the Condor Club, but it was the first place where the Carol Dodo showed it all. I said, okay. Yeah, I always wanted to check that place out. But being a nice lady, you didn't go to things like that. That's a real big naughty thing. So I said, yeah, let's go check it out. So that's how I got involved. Other than that, I'd been working. Actually, I had worked with the police in a few murder cases, which really isn't funny. But working with the police can be funny. It's kind of strange. So I had already been involved in spirit communication. But the ghost investigation, yeah, that's both funny and interesting, kind of cuckoo at times.
Yeah. That makes sense. So a lot of people I'll be honest, a lot of people discount everything, no matter what it is. A lot of people believe things. So for the believers out there, you can't stop a believer. And for the people that discount things, you can't stop people discounting things. So I'm going to get lashed back on this, June. That's why I'm saying that. And if people don't like it, that's okay. They don't have to watch, right? Just like 2 interviews ago, I had a very religious man and we talked about faith. So it all comes to down to this. The show is about people. And that's what I want to know, June. Your earliest psychic happening in your life. When did it happen?
Well, I had a very serious car accident, and I had what they call a near-death experience. And when I came back, I'm telling you, I will say this. I'm probably one of the most skeptical psychics and mediums. If it didn't happen to me, I would look at people too and think, oh boy, and all I could say is, this is what I experienced. I started to know things about people I never met. I could tell them about their past. I could tell them who they knew, or I could tell them what they were thinking of. I had people say things like, how do you know that? Nobody knows that about me. It surprised me as much as it surprised everybody else. And so I had to look into it. So my first real spirit communication, other than when I went to the other side and they threw me out at the pearly gates, was a young man that I had known. I ran away when I was about 24, ran away to Oregon, and I met this guy. I was hitchhiking, and we got to be good friends. And a few years later, I went and visited him. And when I left, his spirit came to me, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? This can't be. Like I said, I have a big doubtful mind on a lot of this, especially people that really get into it. And so the next day, I got a call from his mother. He had committed suicide. But I saw them the night before, and it just kind of went on from there with different spirits showing up. And I didn't go out to find them. They found me until I went to this paranormal thing or the murder case. Even those victims found me.
So when this happens to you, and I'm of the belief that pretty much anybody can do this if they really allowed themselves to tune themselves. Because we've all had an experience or two that we can't explain, even though we try to explain it, and there's a connection with certain things that aren't necessarily really real in our whatever we consider this as. Right. So when you get these things, are you having full on they're there and you can hear them, you can see them, you can almost touch them, or is it more like a feeling in the back of your head that's driving you towards something? Does that make sense?
Both, yes. Yeah. I prefer them not to show up. They're there. That's even frightening to me. I'm like, oh no, just go back into my head, So both. Mostly it happens in my head. As far as saying that people could do this themselves, I completely agree. I wrote about that in my, I did a book. Hey, you want to go to a seance, a medium, but go to somebody trustworthy. I mean, I certainly look high and low for somebody, but do it yourself. And so, usually you don't see, a lot of times spirits come in dreams. And when they come in your head, that's the best place for them to stay. It's a communication, it's telepathic communication. And telepathy is easy to understand. We've all had it. We say things to like, I knew I was going to hear from you. Well, nowadays, everybody, their name's on the phone. There used to be a day that you picked it up and they weren't on the, you didn't know who was calling you. And things like that. Or I knew this was going to happen. So it's really easy to understand in a very elementary way. Mm-hmm. And that's spirit communication actually is pretty elementary.
Well, I think a lot's been discounted about the hive mind that all of humanity has, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's not that we're all one being, I don't think, but I think that we're all connected in ways that we can't explain yet. And I think that's it. The people that discount the stuff like this don't realize that there is a place for it within science, and it should be discovered within science.
It is actually. They're doing more positive scientific research on this and testing.
Yeah. So can you tell me more about these ghost investigations that you do? What is this what you're doing currently? And if so, how do they work?
Well, we are doing them currently at times. I turn down a lot of the places. I have to feel like I really want to go somewhere. The first thing I say is, don't tell me really anything about the place. Just say, we're going downtown today, San Francisco, or we're going across the bay to Alameda. There's a building there. And if I feel like I want to do it, I do it. I probably do a couple a year, maybe 3. And sometimes I do private ones now for some people, not very often. And I have to really feel like I want to. That's the nice thing about being mostly retired. You do what you want to do when you want to do it. Yep. So Ying Lu is the producer. She contacts me. She says, I have some place. And I decided, I know things before I get there. I start picking up information before I get there. Make it easy on myself. I cheat. I decide I'll know it. The most important thing that I say is, when I give you information, I want you to do research. I want you historically to find out everything you can of what I said. I want to know. So we go there and we have a film crew. And we got a cameraman, we got a sound man, we have Ying. They try to record voices. They have special equipment. I just walk around the place and tell them what I'm picking up. It's really hard for me when they say, could you say that again? Take 2. And I'm like, oh, there's no take 2. This is what I'm feeling. Take 1.
Get it or don't, right?
Yeah. Catch me or don't. Edit it out and make sure that I look 40 years younger and 80 pounds thinner while you're doing it.
Yeah, I understand that completely. So when you're doing this, first off, where can people find you if they wanted to talk to you about what you do? Well, maybe not talk to you, but where can people find the show that's about to happen or has happened? What?
It's on Amazon Prime. It just came up on Amazon Prime Time. It's called The Haunted Bay, but it's also on YouTube, and it's called The Haunted Bay. If you want to specifically see my episodes, because there's other mediums, you say with June Ahern or Ahern, however you want to say it. If you're a little Irish, you'll say Ahern. Most Americans say Ahern, so that's okay. That's okay too. Just have fun with it and see what it takes you. I tell people, keep an open mind, because that's what scientists do. Don't decide before you go in, it's not going to be, or this is phony. You don't know what's phony for another person.
That's right.
I meet all kinds of people, and I can't discount them all.
So part of my job is I do hypnosis across Western Canada. It's weird, but we talked a little bit about this before, but part of that is I do all the side things as well. The tarot card readings, I've done seances, I've done all that stuff. And both the theatrical Houdini style seance, which is, let's be honest, it's just fluff. And I've also done the other type of seance, which is real. And every time I do it, no matter what, I always say, you can choose to do this, believe that this is entertainment, and that's up to you. It's really up to you. But if you do find a connection, that is something that you can take away and keep. You don't necessarily, you can completely say that this is all bull, and I'm okay with that. But if you find something useful, keep that useful piece and let it help you. And I think that's something important to put out there in the world. June, I want to thank you for coming on. I didn't ask you the question of the week. We normally do about 10 to 15 minutes. So we're at 10 minutes now. But the question of the week is, if you could choose to be any animal, and we get silly now, any animal you want to be, what animal would it be?
I love horses. I had a horse for years. Since I was a little girl, I used to prance along like I thought I was a horse. I used to even go, I'd be a horse. I'd be free up in the hills. As a matter of fact, I have a hill behind me now where the horses graze up there, and that's what I come in and look at.
Well, maybe that's something you should do.
Come back next time.
Well, maybe. So the last question I have for every guest that I have, we're all locked up in this world that we're in right now. It's chaos, basically. Other than this interview, because let's face it, this has been a fantastic 10 minutes. It's been nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. You're cuter in life than you are in your picture.
Well, I hope so. Thank you so much. What's one thing that you've done today for yourself? Not anybody else, but for yourself, your spirit, your actual self, to make yourself happy?
I took a long walk and I went and looked at the ocean this morning. I got up early and I live near the ocean. And I just said, I need to get out early. So that's what I did. And the weather's really changeable right now. So I started out in the sun and I ended up in the drizzles. And I just love it. That's what I do for myself.
Sometimes the reason I ask that is because we all say we're really busy. And no, we're not. Take 10 minutes and take that walk. Take that time for yourself and just take a break. June, we're going to end the show. I'll keep you on afterwards, but how we end the show is really simple. We put our hands up and we do that. So bye, everybody. Say bye to June. Thank you for having me.